Hello YouTubers, and welcome to my DVD review of The Mind Robber, a story starring Patrick Troughton as the Second Doctor. This story is really good. It's 5 parts long, or 5 episodes long, as that's what they called them back then, and it's very eventful as it features the land of fiction, which is the main setting of the story. Now, back in season 6, when what the story is part of, the second story of season 6, it was like each story was followed by one another. So the Dominators, which comes before the story, the events of that story feature at the beginning of the story, as it's like one after another, and the TARDIS at the end. So you may just see it here. This is a TARDIS here. It's all like breaking up into pieces, and basically, the end of this story, the Mind Robber, then goes into the beginning of the invasion, which is the next story. And at the beginning of the invasion, you see the TARDIS coming back together. So in the 1960s, or this season, there was quite a few stories which just directly followed each other, which was quite good. It hardly happens today in Doctor Who. It's happened a few times, but not a lot. So on the cover, we have obviously the Second Doctor, played by Patrick Troughton, on the right. We have a mysterious character, and I'll go into him in a minute. We've got the TARDIS right at the top of the artwork. As I just mentioned, it's all a nice red colour, which is good. And we've got these toy soldiers as well, and all of these mysterious caves on the bottom half as well. It's a PG, and it's quite light-hearted, this story, considering though, but it is. I think it might be quite frightening for children, but it's good. I enjoyed it. That's what the spine looks like, so very good spine. And here we've got a few interesting things going on the stills here. We've got Jamie McCrimmon, played by a different actor than Frazer Hines, because Frazer Hines had chickenpox during this story, and so he was absent during episode 2, but he came back for episode 3 onwards, and he was in episode 1 as well. We've got Medusa. I know, a bit random. We've got the 3 main characters, the Doctor, Jamie and Zoe. We've got 3 toy soldiers, which are like on the actual front cover of this DVD, and we've got these mysterious things which ironically look a bit like Cybermen, don't you think? But they're not Cybermen, they just look a bit similar to them. And the story is by Peter Ling, and now I'll go into the plot. So, escaping from a volcanic eruption on the planet Dulcis, which was at the end of the Dominators, the Doctor is forced to use the TARDIS emergency unit, which takes the craft out of normal space and time, or time and space as it says on there, and out of reality itself. The time travellers arrive in a mysterious world peopled by fictional characters: Gulliver and Rapunzel, D'Artagnan and Sir Lancelot, but also by creatures from mankind's worst imaginings. The commentary on the story is by Frazer Hines, who plays Jamie, Wendy Padbury, who plays Zoe, David Maloney, who was the director, and Hamish Wilson, who also played Jamie in episode 2. The fact or fiction is the making of the Mind Robber. The cast and crew of the Mind Robber look back at the story, which had more than its first share of challenges, with contribution from Frazer Hines, Wendy Padbury, Hamish Wilson, David Maloney, Christopher Robbie, who played the Carcass, Peter Ling, who was the writer, and Derek Sherwin, who was the script editor and writer, and Evan Hercules, who was the designer. So quite a lot of contributions on that special feature, I must say. Highlander, the Jamie McCrimmon story. That is a very, very good special feature, as that takes a look at the history of Jamie McCrimmon from when he joined the series back in the Highlanders, which was the 31st story, up until the 50th story, the War Games. He is to date the longest running companion ever, and it just talks about how his time was on Doctor Who and how he made the decision to leave with Patrick Troughton and Wendy Padbury, who played Zoe Heriot, and how he came back to reprise his role in the Five Doctors and later on in the Two Doctors. It also talks about his Frazer Hines' time in Emmerdale, which is a television soap I don't like at all, and I'm not going there. It also has a Basil Brush sketch from 1975 featuring the Second Doctor's fearsome foes, the Yeti, which is, I think it'll be quite amusing for the children. It's more for the children, that special feature, really. And there's a photo gallery, production subtitles, and digitally remastered picture and sound quality. And I think the sound quality on this is quite good, and the picture is really good as well. Especially for 1968 story. This was broadcast in during September 14th of September to 12th of October 1968. It was produced by Peter Bryant, directed by David Maloney, and it just says digitally remastered black and white footage. So now I'll talk about this guy. Now, he is the Master. No, not the Master what we all know and love, played by Roger Delgado, as the real Master was Roger Delgado, and he made his proper first appearance in Terror of the Autons. But this guy is known by fans now as the Master of the Land. He's not the Master, so I've cleared that up for you. So, if you watch the story, they call him the Master, but don't get confused, as he's not the Master, who is the nemesis of the Doctor, the Time Lord Master. So, here's inside. Nice picture of the TARDIS breaking up there, and it's the same on the actual disc as well. And it just says the high turnaround of episodes and stories during the 1960s was an enormous strain on the cast and crew alike, and it just goes on about the making of the story and how this became 5 episodes instead of 4, because the usual length was 4. Overall, I highly recommend this story. It is a cracking story. It's one I think is really good for the collection. So, thank you very much for watching this DVD review of The Mind Robber. Be sure to tune in for more DVD reviews by me, the Obsessed Tuvian 95. Cheerio!